Welcome to the channel. If you haven't watched the video before, my name is Kieran and I talk about nutrition, fitness and how to implement that for very, different types of people. How can you implement it? How can you make it into your daily lifestyle? There's a lot of information out there that is often quite contradicting, so it is, it's very unclear for most people. It always happens. It's very unclear for most people what the right food is, what the correct this is, what type of exercise is best. And from what I've researched and over the years learned, working with people, I kind of like figured out what methods can be quite effective, what foods are the most nutritious. And this is from me objectively looking at the research, or and looking at biases in the research, in the literature, in the meta-analysis, etc. That are quite biased and flaws and grey areas, because nutrition's so complex. It's like any sort of study. I remember when I used to watch some videos back in the day, like over 10 years ago, and I think there was a vegan lady when it was really big, when it first got big online, sort of veganism. I never became vegan, but I used to watch some vegan people sometimes. And YouTube back then was a lot smaller than it is today. So YouTube, today it's very massive. You've got your massive people at the top, then you got semi sort of massive, and then it goes down and there's like billions of little channels now. Back then, if you were like a big channel, you were like the main, the top 10 big channels, and that was it really. And you had a few smaller channels, and that was really it. 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't really taken that seriously as a career. Well, it's probably 10 years ago was probably the beginning of that, of today's sort of influencer lifestyle and all of that nature, all of those elements of today started roughly 10 years ago, and definitely not 20 years ago. Not even when YouTube was first launched. No. It's just like a funny, upload videos online. It's a new thing that's come about. It's very new type of media. Upload funny cat videos and people, watching plays and concerts, and there was no people back then. It wasn't really a monetized thing. The internet still, 2005. No, it wasn't. But by 2015, that's when it started to come. That's when it became mainstream. That the social media of today did, definitely by 2015, or a little bit earlier than that. So yeah, I've lost track of what I was saying. So yeah, when I used to watch that woman and a few other channels, and I remember there was one, last name beginning with Venus, and he used to say, "Oh, the meat, it has veins in it and all that, and it means it's really bad for you." And it's mad. Like a lot of the just nonsense. What does that even mean? Wouldn't that even be good? Because that would mean that it structurally has the components that you need, and they're already assembled in ways that's easier for your body to digest, etc. But it's mad. It's crazy, and I was thinking, oh my god, is that true? And then I'll see, this is probably more than 10 years ago, it's probably about 12 years ago, I'll say, probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. And then people saying just eat fruit and raw veganism, and that was really big. And that's crazy, it's just, raw veganism it's completely just starvation really, isn't it? Because you're just eating vegetables, watery vegetables. You're not really getting any fat soluble vitamins. You're not going to get many calories in total, because you'd have to, the amount of broccoli and raw vegetables that you'd have to eat would be like tons. And there are people eating it, and there's people saying, "Oh, I eat this and I look great. The fruits and vegetables are colourful. That means I'm getting all the nutrition in." And what they don't take into account is the bioavailability of the food. They don't seem to mention or acknowledge that, like it's an actual thing. Humans, it's easier for us to digest animal foods I don't call them animal products because it's not a product. You know, I don't say, oh, I'm going to eat the vegetable products now, you know, because there's loads of vegetable products when you think about it, isn't there? Like, a lot of junk food's made out of vegetable, not vegetable, but plant. It comes from plant origins, white flour, sugar, cheap oils. You know, that comes from plants, and that's what most of the junk food is made out of, primarily. You might find a little bit of animal stuff in there, dairy and stuff, but primarily it's like flour, sugar, and vegetable oils, cheap oils that don't really have much nutrition in. Yeah, so like, I don't call it animal products, animal foods. So yeah, that's just the nature of it. So the more bioavailable, you can digest it. It's easier for you to digest animal foods. If you do struggle to digest animal foods, it's more likely that your gut, not your gut, your organs, such as your gallbladder, your enzymes in your stomach, so your protease, and then you've got your lipase as well, is that you probably don't have adequate supplies of that, and that can happen for a number of reasons. You know, so that can happen. A lot of medications, a lot of chemicals can alter your stomach acid and lower certain digestive enzymes. Whereas, and also a lot of sugar. If you haven't eaten much meat or animal fats, then it can be harder for the gallbladder to when you reintroduce those foods. It can then be harder for the gallbladder to work and digest, because when the gallbladder doesn't get used fully, it tends to the bile salts tend to thicken because it's not getting used, it's not getting pushed through every time you eat. So when you have been heavily plant-based or vegan for a long time, then from what I'm learning, the gallbladder can become quite sludged up. And I think there are methods. I don't think it's fully understood in the scientific literature on how to sort that out. I won't go through them now, but I believe there are certain methods that can help. Not that I'm going to teach them, but but I think it's really interesting to read upon and stuff. Yeah, so once you know that's why you can have trouble digesting meat. You don't have enough protease, pepsin, and all these different enzymes that are important, lipase, and then obviously the bile salts from the gallbladder, which I just discussed previously. That's what I meant to say. So yeah, so that's why people can have trouble digesting meat. But anyway, so I was used to watching videos. They used to say certain things, raw veganism. Then you had the balanced vegans, and what they don't, they don't take into account bioavailability. They don't take, I'm gonna like, especially the raw vegans. I'm gonna have all this broccoli, and then I'm gonna get the protein out of it. And a lot of people will struggle to get protein out of broccoli. People I've worked with, getting protein from plant sources hasn't been as optimal as getting it from animal sources. From my experience and from what I'm learning, using my using my eyes, I sort of worked out over the years that it's harder for humans, and also through literature as well, objective literature, studies, that we are designed to eat meat and blah blah blah. So it's really strange. And then it sort of I remember it being really big, 2012, 2014, and then in 2018, a lot of the vegans started quitting, and the fans went mad. They went really crazy. They were like, how dare you? They compare it to the Holocaust. I should have said that on the video, because it censors keywords, so it knows when I say this. Should have called it something else, really. So, I don't know. I've said it anyway. So the Holocaust, they compared it to loads of things, slavery, and they're saying, animal rights and all that. And that's when 2018 is when the tide went to change, started to change in regards to that diet and the veganism thing. And a lot of vegans were leaving. A lot of the ones that were hardcore I'll do this for the animals, do regardless of my health and all that, I'm going to fight for the animals even though they don't really know who you are. Those vegans were, they were like attacking the ones that quit, calling them out, saying, oh, why have you done that? You've gone back. And saying nasty things, like, the way they were going on, it was like, the way those people were reacting, it was like they were carnists, the other ones that had left, like they were really doing something despicable and disgusting, when really in reality they were listening to their bodies. I need meat, I'll feel better on meat. I have, so many stories. They usually go back to eating fish or eggs. I'm going to have some fish and eggs and they feel better, They start off really good, then there's a slow decline, and then it's very gradual because they don't notice, and then when they get to the, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they start to feel really tired. A lot of them do, and not great, and have symptoms of health problems and stuff coming up. And then when they have a few sardines or chicken, fish or eggs, when they introduce those foods again, they're like, they feel really good and alert, and they feel, wow, I'm back to normal. And they've been on their vegan diet, so that, when they were declining, they were trying all the best foods. I mean, not all the best foods, but all of the, what they recommend, what the experts recommend, combining and all that, and they follow it to the T. They follow it to the T, get it all right, and they're still not getting better. They're taking all the supplements that they need to take. They're combining all the right foods and etc. every meal, being really on top of it, and they don't feel better. But as soon as they have a bit of fish, they come back to life. And that's the thing. So remember, there's no long-term research on that. Nowhere in the world have they ate like that. If you do try that, it is an experiment, I think, because there's nowhere in the world. All the studies, all the scientific studies on it are very short-term. There's no long-term studies saying, oh, we can see this in child development. And it hasn't been done anywhere in the world, any sort of tribe or traditionally speaking, maybe plant-based in different areas, but there are omnivorous eating people. And some people were carnivorous, but the majority were omnivorous. There was no fully herbivore people. So that didn't exist. So if you are going to do that, just be critical and look at the studies, and it might be great. Oh, I'd go from meat, and they've gone from meat, they've gone to plant-based, they've improved their health. What else have they, what have they omitted? Have they omitted that they're exercising, as that improves their health? When they were eating meat, because there can be lots of diets with meat in that, different varying diets that are very different. So one's standard American, with loads of junk food that is from plants anyway, and then it could be one that was healthy meat diet, vegetables and a bit of starch. So there's very different diets of meat in anyway. So did they really go from the standard American diet to a very whole foods raw, vegan diet, not raw, vegan, and have seen the benefits short term done? It's like a month, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and they've seen this. Oh, it's perfect. When in reality we don't know, because there's nowhere else in the world that they've done that. So let's, this should be. So just if you want to experiment and do that diet, and you look at the research, oh, so this study's been done for a month, that means I can do it for 10 years. There's nowhere else to look to, is there? There's no any other tribes or anything, or any parts of the world. So you've only going off to studies that are like a few months long. So that is, in my opinion, it's experimenting. You don't really know the long-term effects. Some people do get quite severe symptoms and health problems when they do it for certain. After a while, they feel good in the beginning, but after a while, they do tend to suffer. I'm not saying all or lots, but this seems to be a pattern, a recurring pattern. And when there is a grey area, a blank area where there's no research or anything into long term, like 5, 6, 7 years, where they've studied it and seen what 0 animal foods, 0, and we're going to get you in a lab for 10 years or 5 years. It's not going to happen, obviously. But just always be critical in your thinking. Even when it comes to research, it's only short term. Does that mean it's safe for 5 years when it's done nowhere else in the world? What's the answer? It's an experiment. It looks good if you want to experiment on yourself. But come on now. Anyway, that's my rant. That is my rant for today. Thanks for watching. I know I've gone on. Like, comment, and subscribe. I am going to put a link. It's got a free guide on how to structure your meals, healthy meals, what to eat, blah blah blah. Lots of different elements, how to work around the work day, how to get fitness in, and it's got what they're called, those line. It's got like a diagram showing you what to do and etc. on different pages. So yeah, so if you want to comment, like, and subscribe, thanks for watching, and I'm out.